Okay, I'm doing an oil change today on a 2013 Kubota X900 RTV. The way these are set up is they have a mid engine that sits in the middle of the machine, and it's a Kubota, 3-cylinder diesel, and basically it's all hydraulic powered, right? So you have a hydraulically driven hydrostatic transmission, and then you've got a Kubota 3-cylinder diesel engine that drives that pump. And today I'm going to do the oil change on it. The first thing you want to do on this is you want to crack the, you want to pull the dipstick on this and let the back pressure, you want to relieve the back pressure on the oil in the engine, because when you pull the plug underneath, it's just not going to come out. I've already done that under here. You can see the plug's just underneath. And if you look closely underneath there, there's a plug right there on the oil pan. And when you pull that off, if you don't pull the dipstick on it, it just has too much back pressure on there and it won't let the oil out of the case. So you want to do that first, and then pull the plug on the pan and let the oil drain into a oil pan on the ground. And that's the first part. So once you do that and it's all drained, you're going to change the filter on it, and the filter's on the other side of the engine, and I can show you that in the next episode. All right, I was able to get the filter off on the left side of the engine. If you look down here, you can kind of see it from here. I've changed it already. And honestly, it was kind of a pain because it sits right up against that radiator hose, and then there's a sensor next to it. So the best approach on this is to unplug the sensor on the right to get that wire kind of out of the way, and then to use a filter wrench if you have one with a socket with a ratchet on it. So you would ratchet with a filter wrench on there. You're not going to be able to use a regular car filter remover because these filters are very small and it'll be too small to get that off. But what I would recommend is a filter wrench if you have it. If you don't have that, a big pair of pliers will get that off pretty easily. And it is tight up against that radiator hose. So it's tight in there, and it's a little bit to get it off, especially if it's been on there for a year or so, or whatever it's been on there for. So once you get that off, put the new one on, and it's pretty straightforward with putting it back on. Put the sensor wire back on there, and then you are ready to fill the engine with oil. Okay, this is the end of the oil change on the Kubota X900 UTV or RTV. And what you want to do when you put the oil in there is it holds about 3 quarts and about half a quart for the filter. So what I typically do is I'll put 3 quarts in there, and the fill for the oil, there's a couple fills. Do not put the engine oil in the transmission oil fill. There's a different fill for the engine oil. The engine oil fill is right here on top of the valve cover. So you want to turn this off, spin this off, turn it counterclockwise, loosen it, and then tighten it when you're done. You're going to put 3 quarts of oil, engine oil, in the engine fill, and then you're gonna put the cap back on, start the engine, and then check the dipstick. Dipstick's gonna be over here, and obviously you're gonna want to do this from the other side, but pull the dipstick on it, which is this guy, check it, and you want to get it right in the middle of the low and the high indicator on the dipstick, and then start the engine for about 10 seconds, turn it off, and then check the dipstick. It's going to be just above the low level, so you're going to put about half a quart more in there, and that's because the oil filter has taken half a quart. So about 3.5 quarts, and then once you're done, put the cap back on the fill, and then start the engine and let it run for about 30 seconds, and recheck your dipstick. You want to be right in the middle of the low and the high spot. You don't want to be over the high or under the low. Again, right in the middle of the high and low on the dipstick. Okay, and that's about it.